And here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my fellow YouTubian nation. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics, but I'm sure you already knew that. Welcome on this wonderful May 14th, 2019. It is currently now 1:01 p.m. Eastern Time. I see people are already here having a conversation a half hour before I even started, which is always encouraging, so thank you for that. And I got a great book I want to show you guys, but always I want to make sure I start out just making sure if anybody's interested in my comics that I'm selling some of my duplicates in the form of mystery boxes. You can go to the About section. There's a link you can click to, or you can go to the main part of my page, right where you see on the bottom right-hand corner of the large image you see when you first reach my channel. The second little button you see on the bottom right-hand corner of that image will take you to my web store. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. But I always want to make sure I say hello to people that get here first, because I want to thank those people that get here early. Make sure you stick around to the end. And I want to give a shout out to all my power viewers and ultra power viewers. If you want to hit the Power Viewer Club, all you have to do is watch an entire video. If you want to reach the Elite Ultra Power Viewership Club, you're telling me you watch every single video that you see of mine from beginning to end. So if you are one of those two, make sure you proudly display that in the comments section once this video uploads, followed with a thumbs up if you feel that I have earned that. So let's say hello to the people that are here. So we got Mark G is here. Welcome. Rob T. Snyder. Jerry P. We've got David. We've got... Let's scroll down because I see there's a conversation. We got Gray. We got Gadget Fanatic, who says this is his first live video they've seen. Welcome. We got Gizmo. We've got Love Comic Art. We've got Tina. Oh, it just majorly scrolled on me. All right. We got Lario Lopez, Escargot. We got John. We got Florence, always good to see you. Andrew, Super Mario 64. We actually have a video game in here today. That's awesome. We got Michael Jones. We've got Robert. We've got Jeshua, Michael P. Harvey, always good to see you. Horror Breakdown. Some of my regulars I love seeing. Larry is here. Alfredo. James. Jared the Kid. Lewis. Love Travel 99. Chris is here. John. Kelvin. Welcome one and all. Yeah, and don't worry about the thumbs down. People are talking about that. You know, they don't watch my videos. They just stalk my channel to thumb it down. But let's not even go there, because I don't care about that stuff. I care about you guys that are here for the right reason. So let me put on the video camera, because I have a Grail book here. Welcome one and all. And don't forget to stay until the end, because I always do a surprise subscriber shout out to someone in the live chat. So if you've never been a part of the live chat, come on in, join the conversation. As you can see, it's 99.99% of the time just friendly chat with people, and that's how it should be. So I have a key book here. This is a book I cannot stress enough that you need to get. Doesn't matter the grade. Because let me tell you something. We all want 9.8s. But not all of us have the money for a 9.8. So to me, I would rather have a lower grade book than to not have one at all. Because how does that benefit you in any way? Because, you know, sometimes life comes up. Sometimes there's bills. Sometimes there's situations. And all the money you might have saved up might have to go to repair a car. Or repair a loved one. Or repair yourself. So, to me, I don't mind getting lower grades. And the best part is when you have people that have to have higher grades, they're not going to bid on the lower grades, which is going to keep the costs lower. And if you actually see... you can actually, if you're one of those people that wants to flip books, I mean, you know, there is no wrong way to collect. If you want to be that kind of person, that's fine. It's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. But you'll actually, most of the time, make more profit faster on a lower grade because of faster turnaround. That's why, like, places like Sam's Club and all those, you know, club stores where you can get stuff cheaper, but they sell it in bulk, they actually sell it faster that way. So, you know, high grade is awesome, and I love it anytime I can get a deal for a higher grade, but I'm not going to pass up on an opportunity to get a book just because it may not be the grade I was hoping for. All right, so here is the key book. Chris, read my above comment. All right, and his above comment says, Chris, read my above comment. There's so much scrolling right now, I have no idea what comment you're referring to. Okay, I found the book you recommended, Fantastic Four, Annual 2, $50, with shipping, graded around a 2, 2.5. You paid about what the going rate is. It should go up, but in my opinion, you might have waited for kind of a better deal, especially that low of a grade for that price. But as long as you have it and it makes you happy, that's what you should care about. Lewis says, I was wondering if you own any pre-code horror. I was never into the horror, so I'm sure I probably missed out on lots of opportunities with horror books on eBay because I really don't know anything about them. And that's one of the things I always tell people, make sure you know what you're buying. So because I don't know much about horror, I could have probably missed opportunities where I could have made thousands of dollars on books because I don't know anything about them. But I don't really have a passion about them, so for me to buy them, it would have to be something that I knew was going to be valuable through my research. But I never got into, like, as a kid, hated horror movies. Didn't really care for dramas. Because, if I wanted depressing movies or I wanted violent movies, I could just put on the news. So, to me, horror comics and everything, they don't really have that meaning to me. But again, that's good for people that like that stuff because it's less competition. So no, I don't have any of those. But you never know. I mean, like Ghost Rider, I guess would be the closest thing to horror for me, or Vampirella. But all right, so okay. All right, this is not the key book that they said it was supposed to be. All right. That is definitely not a key book. That's Captain America number 148, which is a generic comic. Interesting. All right. Nah, I'm kidding. That was just a bonus. Here is the comic. People are thinking I get, like, jinxed all the time because I had 2 videos in 1 week. So there is the comic that I got. Sorry, I had to do that. I didn't do anything for April Fools, so that's the next best thing. So that was a throw-in. I knew that was in there. For some reason, they listed these both together, and they actually listed it not even as Hulk 181. They put it as 2 old comics or something like that. And when I went to bid, the bidding was only at $500. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get a nice little steal. So I paid probably a little bit under the going rate because I always set a limit. And if it goes over, then I just say, all right, I'll take it. I'll get it the next time. But this is actually my 4th copy of this book. And to me, this is a no-brainer book. Now, we're going to do this live in the chat. Because one of the things, especially if you're new, because one of the things I find funny about some YouTube channels, and of course I'm not going to call anybody out specifically, but one of the things I find funny is people assume that everybody knows everything about comics. There are people that come in every day that are new, that don't know about things. Now, if you're new to comics, there's a thing that happened in the mid-70s to about a couple of dozen books where they had Marvel stamps. There's the Marvel stamp, so it is intact. Most people back then, because you didn't get any prizes or anything, you couldn't get a free comic, but they had a book where you could put the stamps in and collect them all. So a lot of kids cut out those stamps. What that did was it made the book incomplete. So you want to make sure, like your Hulk 180, your Daredevil 181. There's a whole bunch of different books. Your Hulk 181. If they do not have the Marvel stamp, they're considered incomplete. So if you ever sent it to be graded, it would come back a green label. So this, as you see, it has it. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to show that I knew about when I bought it. There is an old piece of tape here, but this is a lower grade book, so tape doesn't really do anything. The best part is, see, this has a little bit of a spine roll. So that could be pressed out. And I don't know if you could see it. See, yeah, there you go. In the light. And that's why I always tell people, reflect it in the light. See, if you hold it like this, it looks nice, right? But watch when you put it in an angle of the light. See all those wrinkles? Those can be easily pressed out because they're what's called non-color breaking folds or bends or wrinkles, whatever you want to call them. But again, I see people all the time. They look at a book like this, they look at a book like this and say, oh, I don't see any defects. Well, if I hold it like this, you can't see them. But if I go like this, see how easily they're spotted? So that's why you have to be a little bit more complete when you're grading. Now, this does have a little bit of a tear right here from here. It looks like maybe a piece of tape got stuck or something, and a little sliver right here got ripped, but not completely off. That's, again, that's minor stuff, but the key to me, you have to make sure you check every page because you have to make sure no coupons were cut out. Because, back in the days, you could mail these in, and I did that as a kid. You mail these things in. Sometimes, like if you want to sell seeds or Christmas cards, they wouldn't take a facsimile. But here you go. There's one of the first full appearances of Wolverine right there. Now, to me, as an investment, this is a no-brainer because of the fact that Disney just acquired the Fox properties, which included Wolverine. I'm going to change the bag and board. This book is only going to go up because of the fact that you have Wolverine or the X-Men eventually being in a Marvel movie. Now, it's a couple of years away, so this book still has a potential to continue to go higher and higher. So I know many people say, well, 5 years ago, you could have bought this book for $300-400. Well, if you just got into comic book collecting this week, that's irrelevant to you. You got to go with the current moment, not what happened last week, not what happened last month, not what happened 10 years ago. Because, if you bought this 30 some odd years ago, you could have bought it for 25 cents. So, it just depends on when you decide to get into comics. If you're 9 years old, you weren't around a decade ago to be able to buy things cheaper. So, to me, what somebody bought 5 years ago is irrelevant to what you do now. So, this book looks like about a 3.0, maybe a 3.5. Now, this is after pressing. Because, like I said, it's got the little bit of a spine roll, which could be pressed out. And the way you can also tell is you can see the back. See the back cover? Most people might see that and think it's trimmed. It's not trimmed. You can see part of the back rolled over to the front. So all they have to do is kind of gently pull this over and have it pressed, and that can straighten that out. So it does have some color-breaking creases, which is to be expected with something with a rolled spine. That just means this book was read a lot. And from what I figure from the owner, they said they were the original owner of this book. So there's a lot of wrinkles, but again, that can be pressed out. So I think with the pressing, this should be about a 3.0 to a 3.5. Depending on how much they could fix this spine roll, it may even get a 4. So if it got a 4, that's about a $2,000 book, roughly, as of now. When the movies come out, a $2,000 version of this book will probably be about $4,000. So to me, like I've said to people, this is not milk. It does not expire right away. So if you have to have some of these and sit on them a little while, better to do that than to try and wait and watch the prices go up and up and up. And the problem is most people are focusing on books that are at their peak right now, like the Thor 390s of the world and things like that. That's at a peak. They're going to start going down. I tried to warn people. Like I said, I gave it 6 months. It only lasted a week. Where people were buying that book for about between $100 and $130, now good luck getting it for $40. Selling it for $40. And how many people are actually going to buy those comics as they're going down? So I try to get people to think in a different way. Emotions tell you to buy what's hot. That's what sellers want you to think so they can make the most profit off of you. And then what they do is they sell at the top, get all the emotional people to sucker themselves in, and then buy it back when it dips. So this book, things like this, like the Fantastic Four 48s, like the appearances like I showed the other day, the Warlocks and things like that, they're on the rise. that's when you want to buy them. Some of these are going to be expensive because I bought this from a New York seller. I live in New York, so there was tax. So I got charged over $100 extra just in tax, which kind of stinks, but, you know, it is what it is. But even with that, I paid $1,000, where is it? For these two books, and I'm not even considering the other one as anything other than generic, but I paid $1,169.15. So let's just assume that this is $9.15 that I paid for it. So I paid $1,160 for this book. It will be getting graded. It does have the Marvel stamp. A pressing is absolutely going to help this book. Obviously, you can't do anything about the color break increases. But like I said, if this comes back even a 2.5, I'd still be even as of now. I'm not worried about now because I'm worried about the future when Wolverine ends up in the MCU. Because I'll tell people, and I ask this all the time because I want people to think differently. If this book is hot right now, what do you think's going to happen to it when he ends up in a Marvel movie? Do you think A, it will stay the same, B, it will lower, or C, it will shoot to the moon? You know how people in this community overreact. As soon as they get news, they all come flushing, and you see a $1 book become a $100 book. But it depends on the book. Don't just buy what I like to call the flavor of the month, because you will be burned. And when you get burned, like I said, for example, that Thor 390, that was a 50-cent book a month and a half ago. People were selling it for $100 to up to $130. That book now is selling for around $30. What do you think that person's going to feel that spent $130 and within a week watched their profit drop from $130 investment to now a $30 investment? Losing about 75% within a week. That's not smart investment. Yes, it might have made you happy, but I guarantee you, if you spent $30 on it, you would have been a lot happier than $130 because you could have bought 4 copies, 5 copies instead of 1 copy. So I'm trying to get people to think smarter. So the Fantastic Four 48s in the world, the Hulk 180s, the Hulk 181s, the Silver Surfer #1s, those books are on the rise. Things like Iron Man, I mean, obviously, Tales of Suspense 39, you might see a tiny dip at best, but that's not going to become a $1 book. But things like Iron Man #1, you might see a little hit, because if they don't do Iron Man for a while, people start to forget and they move on. So you have to buy things, if you're doing it for investment purposes, at the right time. And the problem is, most people do the opposite of what you're supposed to do when it comes to investment because they base it on emotion. It's supposed to be buy low and sell high. Now, some people will make the argument, well, this is not low. Why are you buying it? Because it is a high price. Yes, but I would say this is at the halfway point at this point. So to spend about $1,100 on this book with the Marvel stamp is a very key investment. Now, would I have been able to buy it 5 years ago for half the price? Yes, but I didn't have the money then. And I was buying other books. You can't just keep buying the same thing over and over again. That's kind of silly. But before the announcement, no one thought about that kind of bump when Disney did not buy Fox at that time. So hindsight is always 20/20. But this book has so much potential. Buying it now, even at the current price, you have a better chance of making a profit on a book like this than something like, for example, even an Amazing Fantasy 15, because if you notice, Amazing Fantasy 15s, nobody's given any discounts on those. As a matter of fact, I search them all the time. People are always selling them for over the fair market value. So it's not wise to buy a book. And that's why, even though at one point I had the money to buy an Amazing Fantasy 15, so I reached my goal of being able to get one. But the reason I didn't buy it is because a 0.5 on eBay, I checked all the time, you're lucky if you can get one for $8,000, $9,000. That's about $2,000 to $3,000 over fair market value. So that would mean I would literally have to wait probably 5 to 10 years for that book to be anywhere, because Spider-Man is already making movies. So he's reached a plateau. Now, a book like that, that's a Grail. It's never going to drop and diminish, but it's going to take a gradual increase, which means I would have to sit on tens of thousands of dollars not doing anything with it for 5 to 10 years. That's not a smart investment. But books like this that aren't as valuable, I can double and triple the amount that I bought quicker, which means a faster turnaround, which means you're actually having your money in motion instead of it stagnant. And that's why you got to be careful sometimes with the high grade trap, because you have to spend a lot of money on something like that, which means you're going to have to wait further down the line unless some kind of key situation happens within that time period. And a lot less people are going to be able to buy it, because I promise you, there will be more people that will buy this book because they can afford it than even a 0.5 of Amazing Fantasy 15. That doesn't mean you're not going to get the sales, but you're going to have less chance of a profit because less people will be able to get those books. Now, just imagine if you had an Amazing Fantasy 15 at a 9.0. How many people do you think would be able to afford that? I've seen auctions, like somebody was selling Superman 1 through 5. That listing has been there for years. So it doesn't matter if he could sell it for $500,000. If nobody's buying it, that means he has, let's say, $100,000, $200,000 of investment of his money or her money stuck in limbo, not being able to do anything. So you have to think differently to reprogram, because I see it all the time, not just on YouTube channels with comic books. I'm talking all over YouTube when it comes to any kind of collectible or investment or passion. People tend to use their emotions and just react right at that moment instead of thinking about, okay, what is the future of this investment? I understand people buy things because they love them, but why overspend for something that you love? And real quick, Love Comic Art says, what do you think about Bloodshot? I think Bloodshot, if you bought it for, like his first appearances, for $30, $40, I think once if the movie actually does come out, if it were me, because I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their books, if it was me, I would turn around and sell those books. Because honestly, do you think Bloodshot is going to become the next Wolverine? I think that's going to be a one and done, maybe a second movie. But unless you're a comic book enthusiast, how many people in the quote-unquote regular world are going to even know who Bloodshot is? So unless they make an incredibly good movie, and considering it's not a Marvel movie, I would not hold my breath on it being anywhere near Endgame's level, or even Homecoming level, or even, Thor Dark World level. I don't see that as a long-lasting book because, for decades, nobody cared about that character. And, Van Diesel, who's playing Bloodshot, he's not getting any younger. So you also have to think about the actors. He's in his, 50s now? How long do you think he's going to be able to go and do action movies to the point where it's watchable? So you have to factor in a lot more things than just the characters. And just because other people say, oh, this is what you got to do. Because sadly, a lot of people that do that are trying to sell you stuff. Now, of course, I have my mystery boxes. But I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm trying to work this out. And next thing you know, you see it on eBay tomorrow for double the price. No. If you see my collection, and I could show you any one of my books, I keep them. I only sell some of my duplicates, and that's one of the reasons, like, if somebody gets mad and says, oh, Chris, why are you taking 4 of them off the market? Well, because I know of a good investment when I see one, and when you have extras, you can do things like trades, where you could upgrade. Because like I said, the reason that I am doing the comic book boxes is to ultimately, well, now that we have the problem with the cat, I am putting money towards vitamins and, I make raw food for her now and everything. And that's a lot of money and a lot of time. So some of that money is going towards that. But if I can upgrade my books to make them better, and I could turn around and make a better profit based on starting out, like if you have I use the example of that, the show The Office, where Dwight, they have a kind of like a yard sale thing in their office in one of the episodes, and he starts out with a paperclip and ends up with a telescope. He actually was able to ultimately trade a paperclip for a telescope because he kept upgrading a little bit at a time and was able to buy a $200 telescope for the price of a paperclip. So Most, like at the end when he got swindled with buying the magic beans, and he said, I can always buy a telescope. Yes, but if you went and bought a telescope, it would cost you $200, $300, $400, $500. He bought it essentially with a paperclip. So the idea is getting multiple copies of books that you know have room to grow and will continue to go on an upward trend will allow you to do trades to get, let's say if I had 3 of my 4 books, I traded this for a 0.5 Amazing Fantasy 15. Let's say 3 years from now, this book goes from a $1,000 book to a $4,000 book, and I have 3 of them. I could probably trade 3 of those books for an Amazing Fantasy 15 for around $10,000. Now, I didn't spend $10,000. If I bought 3 of these books for roughly $1,000 apiece, which is $3,000, and I traded them because they increased in value over the years to around $4,000 apiece, which would be $12,000, that means I bought an Amazing Fantasy 15 for $3,000. That's smart investing. Be very careful. Think differently. There are plenty of channels that are going to make you join into the hot flavor of the month book that fades away. Let Thor 390 be a prime example of what happens when people use emotion and think with their emotions and not with their logic. There's a time and a place to use your heart. When you love your wife, you love your husband, you love your animals, you love your friends, you love your job, you love yourself. But you also have to use your brain to think about things, to process things, to use logic, to see above and beyond where things not currently are, but where they're headed. And most people don't want to do that because that requires effort. It's easy to watch a video, see a book, see everybody else get you all frenzied up with an emotion because everybody's like, oh, Thor 90 or Thor 390, you got to get it. It's a hot book. You're going to see something in the movie. It's going to blow you away. And they spend $100, $130, $140 on a book and find out a week later it's now a $30 book. And about 6 months from now, that'll be back in the dollar bin. Nobody will care about it. You could justify it all you want. You could do anything to make yourself feel better, but the proof is in the numbers. Like they say in a lot of channels when it comes to quote-unquote news, facts care nothing about your feelings. So you can justify anything you want to make yourself feel better. If you spent $130 on a book that is now a $30 book, you lost $100 within less than a week. If you bought it because it made you happy, I guarantee you would have been 4 times as happy if you bought it at $30 instead of $130. So I'm trying to help people think differently. So anyway, I don't want to make this long. You guys know I love to ramble. That's why showing one book took a half hour. That's the book. This is Hulk 181. There was a bonus book in there. So I paid $1,160 after taxes. You know, thanks eBay for adding that on to a comic book. I appreciate that. But even with that, I still underpaid what its current value is. I will be sending that in to next month's shipment to get pressed and cleaned. It should come back between a 3 and a 4, depending on how good the pressing is. And that book only has up to go. So even if you can only afford a 0.5, get one. Because when Wolverine is in a movie, good luck even trying to get a 0.5. So if you have to sell cans, if you have to mow people's lawns, if you have to do trades with people, use your brain. Don't just say, oh, I can't do it. Well, then what incentive do you have to do it? Winners are ones that don't give up and they try and find whatever way. And Lewis asks, are you sending it to CGC or PGX? I'm sending it to PGX because I have a deal with PGX where I give them a 10-second ad and they allow me 4 books for free. So all I have to do is pay for shipping. So they will grade this for free. They will press it for free. They will dry clean it for free. If it had a signature, they would do signature verification for free. And they will even mail it back to me for free. Because every month I do a video that promotes their business. So it's free advertisement for them. I don't get paid anything, but I do get discounts to be able to do this. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe in them. If you watch video after video I've done every single month for over a year now. I send 4 books a month every month, except it was a little bit of a delay this year, but they sent me 2 months worth within one package about a week ago, so check those out. They're back-to-back videos. But out of probably 80 books that I've sent so far, only one book I questioned the grade. You know, that's why I do it live, so I can't doctor it like some video out there that gave, you know, PGX a bad name. The whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1 video. What they don't tell you is that video got deleted because what they did was, and I'm not saying they did it, but when they were, quote-unquote, taking the book out, they took the camera off of the book. So they could have easily done a bait and switch. I'm not saying they did because I wasn't there, but you leave it to interpretation. When you saw me open this, I had the book like this when I showed the Marvel stamp. I showed the book, I opened it in front of the camera, and I'll show it again for those who haven't seen it. So this way there's no trickery. When you leave it up to what ifs, people can always make assumptions. So, you know, don't base things on what everybody else says, what everybody else believes. Base it on your own facts and your own interpretation. If you're a channel that has berated PGX and you've never used them, then you're solely basing your information on hearsay from other people. That is not an honest review. That's a biased review based on the fact that you don't want to be ganged up on people, like especially when I challenge the whole Mylar thing. That was one of the reasons that started having people hated my channel and my original channel, is because, God forbid, I question Mylars, that they were probably not the smartest investment, because your comics are going to be protected. You know, your Mylar will last longer than your comic. So unless you intend to live 5,000 years, 1,000 years, you know, but anyway, that's a video for another time. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. These are the two books. If you appreciate these kind of videos and my advice and find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Let's do today's surprise subscriber shout out. If you want one, you can hit the subscribe button, but you don't have to. Hopefully I earn your subscription. But I'm going to go back a little bit to see who's still here. Because remember, if you're one of my power viewers, you should have been watching from the beginning. And if you're an ultra power viewer, you watch all the way from every video that you've seen of mine. So we're going to do Juggernaut 21481. You are going to be today's surprise subscriber shout out. So that was a while ago. Hopefully you're still here. And if not, well, leave them in the comment section. Maybe he'll read it, or she'll read it. So thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so this way you can get quote unquote notifications from YouTube. And when this uploads, make sure you leave a comment, especially if you're one of my power viewers or ultra power viewers. And it's a club that's very easy to join. You want to be a member of those two clubs? All you have to do is watch the video from beginning to end. So if you can sit through me rambling for a half hour, God bless you. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoy your rest of your day. And don't forget, it's not you, it is not I, it is We Love Comics. And Juggernaut was here to see the surprise subscriber shout out. So good job, Juggernaut. Seems like you're on the membership of Power Viewership, where there is no membership fee. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.